eyebrows is just run automatically, don't have to tell it where it's going to go, and it's loaded the website. The reason for that being is something quite clever, and if you notice, the client path is assigned to appdir eyebrows. What's appdir? Okay, appdir is DOS library's way of remembering where applications are. So anything can be accessed from appdir, simply from the shell. So you don't have to remember where things are installed. You can install things and forget about them. You don't need to remember where they are on disk.
Is that an update of app path thing, primary update?
It's sort of based on that, yeah. Colin nicked my idea. This works again for mail too as well. So we can run applications from YAM. We could include simple mail in that as well. And those, again, are all accessed from the appdir. These two work together very well for a simple fact of the matter is the redirection system works pretty much from anywhere. We can do type http vegans.net. Now that is just a simple command. I want to type the contents of a web page. It'll ask me how I want to do it. Silly ass. It'll ask me how I want to do it. If I do it right, URL is the command for it, is the device for it, and then what we want to open is http amigans.net from a shell. Quite simply, it'll ask me what I want to use for it, and we'll use OWB. And there we are. And it'll open it. Any application that has been run once is remembered. The reason these are remembered is the extras installer set that all up for us. So when you install the application from the extras installer, that sets that all up, and these are automatic. Then they can be opened from absolutely anywhere. So the nice thing with that is that we can use the URL device along with appdir from near enough anywhere. We can literally open a file to that device, and it will launch a web browser. We can do mail too. So let's assume that we're going to write an email to someone, and we're going to say mail to is the protocol, and we're going to write it to me at home. And that will launch YAM. So when you put the context of the URL device into the context of the memory system of remembering where applications are, it makes everything so much easier.
What about it? You said earlier on about once you've installed the programs, it remembers them.
Yeah.
What if, for argument's sake, on the CD you've got, say, version 2.3, and now you've upgraded, you've got somewhere else on your hard drive, you've got 2.4.
The last one run will be the one remembered.
Right.
So if you install a newer version somewhere else,
that's the same
and you run that, it will always run that one.
Same as that path. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fine.
So that's the URL preferences.
Yeah.
Pretty well covered. The other new one is Workbench Startup. So rather than having a drawer that we drop duplicate files in or whatever, we've now got a proper little editor for it. You'll see there's a few programs that are run at startup time. These are all set by default. We've got there's a tick box. The tick box basically says yes, we want this run at startup time. So we can literally disable modules just by unclicking and save. And then next time the system boots, those modules don't get run.
Does Workbench Startup still exist?
The drawer's gone. There are fallback modes, but to be honest, the way to do it is this. Adding stuff in there is very, very simple. We can select stuff from a file requester. Obviously, the same applies with the old Workbench startup system, is that a tool that is launched must have an icon. So if we're going to select something from the file requester, if you're selecting something that hasn't got an icon, you'll get an error. So it's basically saying that no matching icon was found, so it can't be run from here. The easiest way to add things is to open them from Workbench, we'll pick a commodity, something we're not running, Mouse Blanker, stick it in there. So that now adds Mouse Blanker to the list of startup modules. And if we say we want to run that at different, so let's add it at the end of the list, so that will be run last. We can alter the priority in exactly the same way we used to with the start priority there. So if we up the start priority to 4 and save it, all of a sudden it jumps to the top of the list. So we can reorder the list by using the start priority, so you can change the order in which stuff is run. And that's basically that. The startup window is the little window that you saw come up when I rebooted. That shows you the icons of all the tools that have been started. You can turn that off if you don't like it, or we can actually implement some transparency in that. Why you'd want to do that, I've no idea, but it was something that was asked for, so there you are. Mixer is on there as well. That's been added by popular demand.
Right, rather than the download now.
Rather than the download, Mixer is on there, so that's all ready to run straight off, where you can adjust the volume levels of your sound card, etc. That runs as a commodity, so you could iconify that to the dock or whatever, so it's always permanently there. Currently, as it is, it's a one-shot system, so you load it, set it, turn it off. And that's probably about it for the new preps. We have got
I was sat inside
something that I must show you, because otherwise I'll get crucified for it. Calculator. Something as simple as a calculator.
I just parked it.
If you've ever searched for a calculator to do more than that, you'll find you're very limited for choices. Calculators that really work, for some reason on the Amiga, people write them but they don't work, they're horrible to use. So somebody took time to sit down and say, let's extend it and let's do it properly. So the built-in calculator now has options for bitwise operations, etc. You can work in decimal, hexadecimal, you can work in binary. You've got various scientific functions as well. I know it doesn't sound like a huge thing, but for anybody who does a bit of programming and uses a calculator a lot, trust me, that's a huge, huge update. A lot bigger than transparency on the Windows, I can assure you.
So no more Eternians.
No, I did get some
What else have I got on my list? DIR and stuff we've covered, haven't we?